Hello folks, welcome to The Cut. I'm Craig Shelton. This is UTN 43.8 where we talk sports with you. Tonight we got a real good show for you. We're going to talk a little bit about the gay question with Manti Te'o. Can't believe that's happening in 2013. We also going to talk a little bit about Michael Jordan's baby mama. And we might even talk a little bit about Shamika Holdsclaw busting caps. Man, it's going down tonight. Let's do it. Craig Shelton, as I told you in the intro, this is my man Angelo Lawford from HMW, one of our bloggers on HoustonMediaWatch.com, and Richard Walker, one of the bloggers on HoustonMediaWatch.com. As I told you a little bit before, we talk sports on this show. We talk sports with you. We talk it with you on Facebook. We talk it with you on Twitter. If you're old school and you don't do nothing but email, you can even email us. We'll talk to you there at HoustonMediaWatch@yahoo.com. Let's get it going right away. Tonight, we're going to talk about making and breaking promises to get this first segment started with Angelo and Richard. On Friday, we started the Atlanta Falcons release, Michael Turner. We talked a little bit about that last week on the show, that was coming. They also released veteran defensive end John Abraham, and that's going to be shocking to some folks around the league, but if you kind of understand the salary cap structure, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when the Darrelle Revis conversation came up, that and Dante Robinson was released, also former Houston Texan and who's been there in Atlanta for 3 years. We talked about some of the teams with salary cap positioning that may possibly be able to position themselves to make a run at Revis, and we talked about the fact that cutting Dante Robinson could save them $4 million, and I think overall they ended up saving, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, $15.9 million. I heard as high as $8 million earlier today. But sometimes when people give salary cap numbers, they don't include the fact that teams have to supplement X amount of dollars that will go toward the NFL draft pool to sign their rookies. Just to kind of highlight with you folks a little bit what's going on and what you may want to be looking forward to for the rest of the NFL offseason. Of course, from the 20th through the 26th, we just had the NFL Combine experience. Some interesting news coming out of the Combine, and I just can't believe the way that this turned out. We will talk about that in the second segment of the show, evolving around Manti Te'o and the questioning relative to his sexual preference, which I find to be very, very ridiculous on several different levels. I don't know if you agree with my take on it. The question that we asked on Facebook and Twitter before we get to taking a look at the schedule for the remaining offseason, we asked on Twitter, tell me one promise that each of these three quarterbacks, that would be Alex Smith, just traded to the Chiefs for what could end up being 2 second-round draft picks, for Richard's favorite quarterback on the face of the earth, Tony Romo, and Matthew Schaub, as I like to call him here in Houston. You know, what promise would these three guys make to their individual fan base and their individual teams? We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the schedule for the remaining of the NFL offseason. I'll go ahead and reach across the room to Richard, because anytime we say Tony Romo, but Richard, let's start with Tony Romo.
Okay.
What promise should Tony Romo get on his knees, his filthy, bloody cowboy knees, What promises should he make to the Dallas faithful and to that coaching staff in Dallas?
Well, I think Romo needs to promise to fans and to his teammates the word accountability. That's something that you never hear or see from him based on his actions. Whenever there's a loss, there's some type of excuse, or you see the little grin, or we'll try harder next time. There's never that, man, I screwed up. I never seen this guy just really take the bull by the horn and say, I screwed up. And he cost them the season yet again. And I have yet to see him buck up like a man and say, you know what, this is on me. I'm going to make this better. I'm the leader of this team. I'm going to take us to the next level.
Now, see, from the outside looking in, when I view Tony Romo, and I see Tony Romo after games giving speeches, giving his allotted time to the media after the 15-minute NFL cool-down period, I thought over the last couple of years, I saw some maturity in Tony Romo. He talks in terms of we as a team.
But you're the quarterback, it's me. You don't hear Tom Brady say we. You don't hear Peyton Manning say we. You didn't hear Joe Flacco say we.
That's what fans do. Fans overanalyze their own
I'm speaking as an analyst, man. You're the quarterback of a franchise. You're the bus driver. And if the bus don't make it to the destination, it's your fault.
But if the defense plays bad, and if the defense gives up way too many points, why would the quarterback walk up and say, me, when it's clearly we that needs to improve?
As bad as they played, they gave up 200 rushing yards to Alfred Morris. At the end of the day, they still left him in a position to win the game. He had the ball in his hand with the opportunity to win. He didn't get it done.
You're the Tony Romo expert. I won't argue. Angelo, let's take Alex Smith for you. Alex Smith, I got a lot of respect for Alex Smith. When you think about the way he handled last season with the comments I heard from Colin Kaepernick in recent days, and he talked about after the news broke that Alex Smith would be traded to the Chiefs for what could end up being 2 second-round picks. And Kaepernick talked about whether he's here, whether he's there, he's going to be successful. He talked about how helpful he was to him, and it wasn't just quarterback speak. I mean, he was detailed. He was like, he made sure on the sideline that I was seeing what I needed to see. He would ask me, did I see what the safeties did? I thought that was very telling about the character of Alex Smith. Angelo, what 3 promises should Alex Smith make to the Kansas City Chief faithful and to his new head coach, Andy Reid?
Well, I think first of all, he should promise that he could be a good coach or a good player without Jim Harbaugh, because we saw what he was before Jim Harbaugh, and so to be honest, the story is still unknown. So I think if he can promise to be as good of a quarterback as he was under the tutelage of Jim Harbaugh, I think that's a pretty good thing, and I think that he can be a little bit of a redemption for Andy Reid as coach, and he has a fresh start here. So I think it's just good for the Kansas City fan base. It's good for the organization as a whole. So
I don't know if the Kansas City fan base are in agreement with you. They're not overly exuberant about the fact that Tony Romo is coming to Kansas City on a whole. I don't think it's as difficult as some may think to make him successful the way he was under Jim Harbaugh, because yourself, Richard, they made things real simple for him. They gave him safe opportunities to get going. Jim Harbaugh had him to throw him first down quite a bit. You know what I'm saying? Made sure that that running game was effective around him, which is what was key for him. Now he's maybe a notch above the old Texan quarterback David Carr when it comes to not really looking downfield that much, a lot of check down stuff. A lot of what people thought was check down stuff, I don't really think it was. I think that's what Jim Harbaugh had set in place for him to get that confidence going. But here's what I think about Alex Smith. I think after what we saw from him in the NFC Championship game last year in the loss to the Saints, Alex Smith, under pressure, is not afraid to make plays. You know what I mean by not afraid to make plays? Matt Schaub is afraid to make plays. Real quick, Richard, I'll give you the opportunity to tell me what Matt Schaub, quarterback of the Houston Texans, should promise the Texans and Gary Kubiak.
Well, first and foremost, he needs to learn well, I would speak for Matt Sharp and say I would promise that I would learn another number on the Texas roster besides 80. You have other people that you can get involved in the offense. You don't have to go to Andre Johnson every single time. It's like a repetitive story. You almost know what he's going to do in certain situations.
Yep. Matt Sharp, 9th in quarterback rating overall in the league this year. That's including NFC and AFC. With a 90.7 rating. Tony Romo, 10th in the NFL overall with a 90.5 rating. Two very, very criticized quarterbacks who have quarterback ratings on the year higher than Joe Flacco, who just signed the richest quarterback contract in the NFL, and Eli Manning, a guy with 2 Super Bowls. Just something to think about because the numbers don't always tell the stories. But Facebook and Twitter doesn't mind telling the story. Alicia Stewart is out tonight on assignment, so Al Freeman is filling in for Alicia with social media. We'll run to Al to see what they have to say on Facebook and Twitter. Al, take it away.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, here we are, social media on Facebook. Man, what a great question this week. Tell me one promise each of these 3 quarterbacks, Alex Smith, Tony Romo, and Matt Schaub, should make to their individual team and fans for the 2013 season. Oh my goodness, let's see what they say on Facebook. Lydia Partisan. Lydia, thanks for sending it in. I like this. She says, Tony Romo should promise to stop corking his receiver when he screws up and being overly demonstrative about it. Matt Shaw should promise not to give up so easily on plays. Yeah, Matt, that's right. Maybe run a few yards when possible. That ain't going to happen. Alex Smith should promise. Oh, well, I got nothing on Alex Smith. Yeah, good. Thank you, Lydia. That's cool. James Williamson, my man James. Greg, I think Sharp should promise not to rawly suck in the second half of the season. Romo should try not to throw as twice as many picks this season. Yeah, let's hope. And Alex Smith should promise not to get knocked out again and lose his starting job. Yeah, it won't matter in KC. John Thunder Dimples Villarreal. Man, what a name. Thunder Dimples. I bet you fought real good in the hood. You had to with Thunder Dimples. But, hey, TD says, I promise that I will, well, Alex Smith says, I promise I will attempt to put Andy Reid in a snickerless diet. Okay, Thunder Dimples, that was good. Stick to your day job, no comedy. Tony Romo, I can promise you that I will keep my sexual escapades out of the team's restrooms this season. Were you there, John? Thank you. Matt Sharp says, I promise I will not be horrible against good teams. Oops, I just threw my keyboard 3 rows deep into the crowd. Let's hope these quarterbacks just earn their money. I promise that I will earn my money. That's what they should all say. I think they ought to pay athletes according to their ability. All right, here we are. Yes, we're at the all-important Twitter. I love Twitter. You know, Man at Arms says on Twitter, Alex Smith should promise the KC fans that he will play like he did last year and not all the other 5 years before that. Yeah, let's hope so. Hope he's getting better. Alex Smith is a good quarterback. I think he's going to do good in KC. Tony Romo said, should promise Cowgirl fans he will not throw more than 2 INTs this season. Obviously, this is the Texan fans. Cowgirl fans, you know, who knows? Maybe the cheerleaders can play better. Matt Shaw should promise Texans fans that he will become more proficient in the red zone and attempt to call his own plays. Kubiak won't allow that. My man Ainsworth at 97.5 ESPN Radio. Alex Smith, I will be better than Matt Castle. Yeah, right. Matt Shaw, I will promise not to disappoint the Texans fans in December. Let's hope they all don't disappoint us in Texas. Tony Romo says, I will not throw the WTF pass in every game. Yeah. And my man, Manny Fresh 25. Manny Fresh, what up, bro? Alex Smith should promise to win more than 2 games this year. Let's see. Let's hope for Kansas City. It may not. Tony Romo should promise that he admits he thinks golf is a better game than football. Yeah, maybe. You know, guys, I think all of these three quarterbacks are very decent quarterbacks. Let's hope that the teams give them more to work with. I'm Al Freeman. I've been on social media. Peace.
Great job, Al Freeman. We appreciate that, filling in for Alicia Stewart. Folks, we're going to run to a break, and when we come back from this break in segment 2, I'll talk to Angelo Lawford and Richard Walker, and we will ask what has become the inevitable question at the Combine. Are you gay? And should I care? When we come back on The Cut. Welcome back to the show, folks. Angelo Lawford on set with me tonight, Richard Walker. Both of these guys are from HMW. I encourage you to go check us out. That's HoustonMediaWatch.com. That's HoustonMediaWatch.com. Go check out the blog and leave your comments there. You can follow me on Twitter, and I encourage you to do so at Craig Shelton HMW. Also, please follow me on Facebook or friend me on Facebook at Craig HMW Shelton, and definitely you can make your comments. We post our content, our questions and comments. We talk to you, we debate with you, then we integrate it right here on the show. And we have a topic right now that lit Facebook up, lit Twitter up. I couldn't get everybody's comments in, but we'll go ahead and jump into it as we talked about a little bit earlier about that schedule of the NFL offseason. And that includes, of course, included what we saw at the Combine over the last week, ran February 20th through the 26th. March 9th through March 11th, teams can begin negotiating with agents of players set to be unrestricted free agents at the start of the league's year. Teams can only talk to agents and not players during this negotiation window. And then March 12th, 2013 league year begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, opening the free agency and trading period, which is, let's just face it, that's one of the most exciting times of the year. It just creates a lot of excitement and a lot of angst for folks, depending on who you are and where you, what team you're pulling for, and what GM is pulling the strings for your team. Then March 17th through the 20th, the annual league meetings, will be held in Biltmore, Phoenix, Arizona. I almost said Baltimore there for a moment. And then April 25th through the 27th, the 2013 NFL Draft to be held in New York. So all us football geeks can't wait for that to come. I wanted to go ahead and get into what we heard this week, guys. In closing last week of the Combine, and there was much of a scuttlebutt throughout the media, throughout the sports talk shows, on Twitter, on Facebook. Everyone was talked about the alleged line of questioning that not just Manti Te'o was reportedly, even though he's come out and denied that it happened, but there was other players that talked about some of the questioning, and no way to beat around the bush. This is all about NFL teams and that good old boy culture of the NFL locker room. And I call it the good old boy culture, even though it's full of minorities. But minorities' attitude toward the gay community is no different than the majority's opinions has been about minorities in this country. Mm-hmm. It's very prejudicial on many levels. Mm-hmm. I consider myself a person with pretty conservative views. I'm not going to get into my religious beliefs. I'm not going to get into my politics. But I will say is this. Everybody has a right to their political views. Everybody has a right to their religion. You pray to who you pray to. You love who you love. You vote how you vote. That's your business. But you cannot allow any of that to come into play in the workplace when it comes to being professional and creating a professional environment, maintaining a professional environment, or God forbid, the hiring process. So here's where my problem lies, fellas, with the NFL and the fact of the alleged line of questioning that some of these guys may have taken on, not just Manti Te'o. Now listen, in regard to Manti Te'o and whether or not he's gay, here's my question. What difference would it make if Manti Te'o is gay going to what we all know is highly likely an already gay NFL locker room? Are we to believe that a league with over 2,000 players, and the way percentages break down, I've talked to a math guy, we've got a pretty good math guy with HMW, a fair sample size from what he tells me is 30 people. So you mean to tell me the averages in regard to gay citizens in this country completely skipped over the NFL demographic? We don't already have gay players in NFL locker rooms? I think that's ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. So that was the question that we put out on Facebook and Twitter. That's the one we'll discuss and debate here. Why should it matter whether or not Manti Te'o is gay in what we already know are gay NFL locker rooms? Angelo Lawford.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. Sports is a microcosm of society.
No, Angelo, are you gay?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, not at all.
Okay.
But we all know that sports is a microcosm of society. And so, yeah, it's obvious that there's already gay players in the locker room. I must say I'm disheartened. Not just I don't know how we got here. So I'm at a loss for words. When I look at what some of the media has reported, when I look at what sports fans like us have reported or opinionated, it's disheartening because it's not relevant to what happens on the field. I don't think. Relevant? So not to what happens on the field. Now the locker room.
Wait a minute. Let's just say, for sake of argument, it is relevant to what happens on the field. In what manner is it relevant, Richard?
Well, speaking from the player's perspective, there's the psychological part of being an athlete. And when you're in a group with a bunch of other guys, there's the intangible element of the camaraderie, the respect, the team bonding, the male bonding thing that you gain from working with each other. And let's just call it like it is. The NFL society is not a microcosm of society. These are mostly guys who are top-tier athletes. They've been at the top of their game all their lives. They've been coddled and handheld in a manner different from what.
That is no excuse for
however,
yeah, there's no excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's just how
the
it is.
NFL can't carve out their own little world. And
but
just
they do.
But they won't.
They
won't. Let me tell you why they won't.
The NFL
this is
not
a national
ready,
story, Rich.
The NFL is not ready to accept the openly
Who
gay
is the
player.
NFL?
The NFL itself.
What's going to? I played running back.
Mm-hmm.
You played offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
If I was running behind you, and you met a gay linebacker at the second level, are you not going to attempt to pancake
I'm
him?
up regardless. I don't care.
Okay, am I not going to try to run through him and go for six?
Yes.
What is going to happen?
There's the practice. There's the film.
What's going to happen in practice?
In practice, just going to be blunt. Someone that I have a better relationship with, that I'm more cool with, that's one of the guys, is probably going to get a little bit more feedback from me than somebody that, that's just him.
You know what?
I'm just waiting for him to get. I'm just being real. I'm just waiting for him to get cut.
You know what's interesting, and allow me to interject. It's just like this is like we have the WNBA. The WNBA obviously has a mix of orientations in their league and on their team.
Widely believed to have a large ratio of lesbian women.
Yes, but there's also straight women on there. So the point is that somehow they make it work. They can be cohesive, and I'm not saying it's an easy process.
You're talking about women, though, man.
But I know.
Now you're going to
women,
get sexist.
You've
attacked the gay. I'm saying
that women are more emotionally intelligent than men are. You're talking about a bunch of testosterone.
They're also more psychologically advanced than we are because women are. I don't believe women are in the same place. Because I've been in the same environments you've been in regard to athletics, and we all us men always say that women like to be friendly with gay guys. So we can't now when we have a debate determine that doesn't apply anymore. We said that.
No,
I've always said that, which implies women are beyond what we are.
A woman can have a perfectly straight woman can have a lesbian friend, and there not be a weird connotation to it. A straight guy cannot have a gay friend. That's not going to work. That's the macho mantra that exists in the NFL. No, that's just how it is, man.
That's insecurity and that's ignorance because
and that's how it is.
Oh man,
that's real,
Richard. If you told me
go to any NFL locker room and turn yourself into a fly on the wall,
you're still welcome on this set next week, bro.
Yeah, that's on the cut because we're on another level, and I'm not gay, by the way. So I see some of y'all looking at me, but I know I'm sexy. in the NFL locker room, that's just not acceptable. It's too much. It's too much ignorance and testosterone
Do
in one
you
area.
believe there are already gay
There are.
men in the NFL?
Yeah.
Tell me
But
hold on, Richard.
Uh-huh.
Tell me what incident has blown up in the NFL locker room because of homosexuality.
No, you know why?
So how can you
know
say
why? You
they're
know
not
why?
ready for it?
You know
It's
why? Because
already there,
they kept their mouth shut. That's why.
You know what? We're gonna.
It's not don't ask, don't tell. It's don't tell and
You know
don't
what?
ask.
We're gonna carry on with this. This is what we're gonna go to social media. We're gonna go to Al Freeman, who's filling in for Alicia Stewart, and when we come back, we're gonna come back to this same topic, and we are going to talk about this a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go to Al Freeman and see what they have to say on Facebook and Twitter in regard to what we NFL locker rooms and the gay question. Al, please take it away, man. Folks, all I can say to that social media segment is wow. Al Freeman, we appreciate you filling in tonight with the social media for Alicia Stewart. Folks, when we come back, we're going to go ahead and stay on this topic because there's no way we can get this one in on one segment. We'll talk more about the gay question in the NFL right here on The Cut when we come back. Welcome back to the show. I'm Craig Shelton. This is Angelo Lawford. This is the soccer segment. Angelo, the 2013 MLS season is here. What can we expect to see ahead in 2013?
Man, there's going to be a lot of change. A lot of players left. You had David Beckham leave, Kai Kamara, Roger Espinoza, Andy Nahar. It's just, there's a lot of change. And plus, there's going to be a lot of challenges during the season because you're going to have the Gold Cup and a World Cup qualifying throughout the season.
Right.
But with the players that have left, the players that teams have lost, I expect Sporting Kansas City to take a step back. I expect the Galaxy to take a step back. And it's going to be interesting to see if New York finally takes it upon themselves to ascend and be the team that everybody believes that they can be.
Right.
I expect Seattle to be pretty strong. In fact, that's my MLS final prediction is Seattle versus New York. So it's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait for the season to start. I expect the Dynamo to be solid again, the DC United to be solid again. It's going to be an interesting season, and I can't wait. I'm glad that it's here.
I'm glad it's here too. Folks, we appreciate you watching. This is the soccer segment. That's Angelo Lawford. I'm Craig Shelton. Back in a minute.
Well, I'm back, Houston. Yeah, I was gone for a little while, but I'm back here on The Cut. I'm the most unappreciated sportsman ever, and not as unappreciated as Dennis the Worm Rodman. Yes, Dennis the Worm Rodman went to North Korea. Everybody's upset, but what people don't realize, this was a military operation by the United States government. That's right. North Korea has been invaded by the worm. Yes, he's going to get with the Madonna over there of North Korea. That's right. And he was sitting with the little short fat dude who's the leader. Dennis says that this dude is great, that this dude is awesome. Well, we will wait to see. Congratulations to the Texas Southern University women's basketball team led by Cynthia Cooper Dyke. No, that's not a mistake. That's her name. She's great. She's fine. She's got the girls playing. It's a whole bunch of them over there, man. I love it. Last but not least, but certainly the most important thing, All-Star game is left Houston, Texas. Right on. They're still old school women, still here, old retired dancers who did not leave the city. They're going to be here for a while. They'll be working at the car wash over in 5th Ward, washing cars and putting shine on tires. That's what they deserve to be. I tell you what, I'm going over there and I'm going to let the dusty girls touch my dusty car. I'm the most unappreciated sports fan ever. I'll see ya.
Welcome back to the hot and heated cut with Richard Walker from HMW, Angelo Lawford from HMW, and I did say hot and heated on a night when we're talking about gays in the NFL locker room. We're further apart than the Republicans and Democrats when it comes to a budget for this country and something that makes sense on this topic. And I'm not at all surprised by it because I think this is one of the big misconceptions about African American culture, and I'll go there with it. because there's a belief that we kind of all vote the same, we kind of all think the same, but we don't. We don't pray the same. We're different. Now, me and this guy come from similar backgrounds in regard to football. Angelo's a huge soccer fan.
And I played wingback in middle school.
This is a middle school football hero.
Middle school legend right here.
I think I caught one touchdown.
But in about 3 years. But we see this differently, and I think we can see it differently at the same time while we acknowledge where each other is coming from with it. I completely get where you're coming from, but my deal is this: you can't tell me that the NFL is not ready for gays in the locker room, because the gay culture already exists in NFL locker rooms. They've always been there.
It's a private chapter.
They have always been there. Well, you can call it a private chapter, but what does a gay person who's a part of a football team have to do any different than an Asian person who's would be a minority in terms of NFL football? Hispanics. What about what's next? If you're a white cornerback, you have to be set off to a different side of the room. I mean, it doesn't make sense. If an NFL team is in a plane crash and the surgeons in the trauma unit at the hospital happens to be gay, you don't want to be treated? See, I think we're reacting emotionally without thinking intelligently, and we're talking about intelligent people reacting emotionally without thinking things out. What do you think about Terrell Suggs? You think he's a pretty macho guy?
Oh, yeah.
Is he pretty exemplary of what we think about in regard to NFL, especially a defensive player? Those are the mean guys. This guy's been NFL Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year before. Finally got him a Super Bowl ring this year. Well, here's what he had to say when he was asked recently. Terrell Suggs said that he doesn't care how many not dead fake girlfriends Manti Te'o had. He would still welcome the ex Notre Dame stud linebacker in the Baltimore Raven locker room. That's Terrell Suggs, folks. Says he wouldn't have a problem playing with Manti Te'o. See, I knew I had this trump card sitting over here, so I admit I was setting up over
Play
there.
your card.
Suggs,
I might have one of them.
Suggs was in. You have an invisible card on it. Suggs was in New York when he was asked if he would work with Manti Te'o if the Ravens drafted him, and Suggs said, "Manti, most definitely, he's got a future." Richard,
It all boils down to this: the words were never spoken, and they won't be. The teams did not ask these guys, "Are you gay?" And they're not gonna. If you're smart enough to read between the lines, and these guys are, the reason that they're asking them is because they are making an investment. I'm going to put this piece into my locker room with 52 other pieces, and this guy has to fit socially with these other guys. And
you can't include his sexuality.
But if I got 52 other guys, and if let's say
it can't be a part of the
let's say
interview process.
20 of them got a problem with it, I'm probably gonna look at this guy's might not fit with these other guys.
Yeah, it can't be a part of the interview process.
It's not fair. It sucks, but that's the way it is.
You're even with it being a question that you have to ask. Now you're stepping on.
But they never asked the question.
Well, indirectly or directly, it's still possible that they're violating the law in some capacity, because nowhere else can you go in any.
Yeah,
for
Will John,
engineering
is that part of the interview process?
You can't ask that question.
It's just a matter of the context of how it came up, because you might have icebreakers and stuff that come up.
Brother,
tell me about yourself. You have a girlfriend? You got kids? It didn't come across as I was asking you if I was gay, did it? It was just kind of an icebreaker kind of thing.
Here's what Dan Matthews on Twitter, @DanMatthews929 with 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. When I asked him the question, he said, "Craig, it's more of just an assumption, really. It's been widely speculated that there are gay players in the NFL, but no definitive proof." Dan, you're dumb. That's stupid.
It's been gay players.
That's a stupid
It's
And
been
I
gay
like that.
players
He's my
probably
boy.
since the 50s,
That's
40s.
just a ridiculous comment to make.
They probably had gay players in leather helmets. I mean, we knew that always existed.
Here's more the attitude I think that we're comfortable with when we talk about gay people. Let's be honest. At John Granado from 1560 Yahoo Radio, and he says jokingly, "I've heard of fun locker rooms, but not gay ones. What is this you speak of, Craig Shelton?" See, you're comfortable with that.
There we go.
That's what we're comfortable
Well
with.
done, John.
But as African
I'm
Americans,
just-
as African Americans, you wouldn't stand for any type of sensitive comment made toward your heritage.
Right.
But it's okay.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair, but that's the way it is.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
But what you're wrong at is in saying that the NFL is not capable, locker rooms are not capable.
They're not ready yet.
Of course they're ready yet. Guess why they're ready?
Why?
What do we shoot this show on? Green screen. NFL players are getting paid millions of dollars. You mean to tell me, Richard, if you was making an NFL, say mid-level salary, you're suddenly going to throw that away because a gay kid is on the team?
No, I wouldn't throw it away. I'm talking about from the
You
GM's
believe your
perspective.
constituency in that locker room? What are they going to do?
I'm talking about-
ask to be,
I'm looking at it
Tom
from
Brady
the-
going to show up the next morning and ask to be released?
I'm looking at it from the GM's perspective. I got 53 guys. I got to keep them happy so that they can keep making me money. And if I got one person that's going to be disruptive to the workplace, whether it's fair or not, I'm going to have to deal with that.
I think this guy at Ambition, we'll get to your comment, Angelo. I think this guy it's at J_ambitious on Twitter. He said, in regard to, and I just took this one tweet, we had a full conversation, but his point was he's basically not surprised, basically alluding to the point that, didn't they ask Ez Bryant how long was his mom a whore?
Mm-hmm. And his daddy was a pimp?
Yeah,
He says, I'm usually against this kind of question, but this isn't $50K they're paying him on the job.
Right.
We're talking about millions.
Right.
So because you're making millions, they have a right. So let me get this straight now. People who earn in the top of earning percentages of the country, those people should be scrutinized differently than people who earn in middle class or lower middle class or just flat out impoverished people.
To some degree, yes, unfortunately.
What the hell degree is that?
Because they are professionals. And when you're a professional, there's not just a task-oriented aspect of your job. There's the intangible. There's the reputation. You can't have a doctor that, is a wild party animal because it looks bad on the practice.
But if
You
that
can't have a
doctor
lawyer-
being gay doesn't make him a wild...
I'm just saying, these is part of the
Richard, how
reputation
can you
of the
make an
firm.
argument for a culture of people who mismanage their money? Most of them are broke 5 years after they're finished playing. Some noticeable percentage of them are commit felony crimes, drug-related crimes, beating women. Mark Shimura was molested a young girl. You mean to tell me that culture of people has, you know what, I can make an argument that NFL players shouldn't even have a voice in this argument.
Agreed. And that's what I'm saying. Going back to the GM, who is over this entire process, the GM and above, who's over this entire process, they have a brand that they're protecting. The Dallas Cowboys is a brand. Houston Texans is a brand. They are concerned about that. And what drives their brand is those guys in their locker room. Mm-hmm. If those guys are all gelling well together, they're all happy together, they're all cohesive, that's something you can't coach, you can't teach.
We're going to get up out of here.
Three guys to
We
pull
got
the same
to
direction.
get ready to go to a break. I'm going to close this particular segment, and we may have to come back with this. But this is what I think. I know athletes. I don't know fans. If he's gay, as long as he can play, he can stay. We'll be right back. It's the Cutt. Craig Shelton.
Thank you, Craig. Should it matter whether or not Manti Te'o is gay in what we already know are gay NFL locker rooms? His Twitter comments are jumping off the hook on this. Joe Cool says, to me, Craig, you're right. That question is way out of line and can end up costing the NFL millions in a lawsuit. The question is, can you play? That gay crap is not on my draft item list. Good point, Joe Core. And Chance Kier, I like that. Chance Kier says, it doesn't matter, but by talking about what a major issue it will be a major issue. Okay, I understand that. But LOL, as she says, don't you listen to sports radio, Craig? Yeah, we do. And Jack Harsaw on Facebook says, it doesn't matter if Manti is gay or not, but I think he's a backup at best. All right, right into the football question there. And Felicia Ann Cooper says, shut it down. God is watching all this mess down here, and he ain't pleased about it either. He ain't pleased about a lot of stuff, Felicia. Facebook Natalie Holmes says, I love the game of football, but this has no relevance on whether he can play the game or not. I'm pretty sick of hearing about it all because the focus is not on his ability as a player. It really shouldn't matter if he's gay or not. What the hell does that have to do with what goes on between the kickoff and the points of all the zeros on the clock? Interesting answer there. And Felicia Ann Cooper on Facebook says, Manti Te'o's a good player, Craig, but when people look at you these days, they don't want to be reminded of any dark history. Please, people, y'all set these athletes up as idols, and we look at them as heroes. And when we hear this kind of perverseness, we tend to want to shy away from their normal reasoning from being a good athlete. He's a good football player, but he's also gay. That's human psyche and reasoning. Interesting there. I think it doesn't matter whether Manti is gay or not. He can play football. That's what matters. And when he plasters somebody, when he stops that run, hey, people forget about it all anyway. I've been on social media.
Back to the show. We've really enjoyed debating, the gay NFL prospect question that's been out there so much this week with the combine coming to an end and Manti Te'o and everything that surrounds that. I appreciate Rich's comments on that. And Angela, we're not going to come to an agreement on it. This is something that maybe we'll address more on the show because obviously this is a topic that has legs. And we'll treat it as such. We're not one to avoid topics on this show. We appreciate all the folks that have participated on the social media. Great stuff from you folks tonight. You can follow me on Twitter at Craig Shelton. Craig Shelton HMW. On Facebook, you can get with me at Craig HMW Shelton. And we appreciate the support. HoustonMediaWatch.com, that's the blog. Go check it out. Let's go to a little bit lighter story, something a little less controversial. I want to talk about basically just how cool are the Miami Heat. And I say this because of the video that has gone viral. I'm sure everybody has seen it by now with the Heat, jumping in on the latest craze with the New York. Is it the Hustle Shuffle? What's the official name?
It's called the Harlem Shake.
The Harlem Shake is what it is. That's the official name for the Harlem Shake. Many different sports teams, people from all different backgrounds and genres have given their version of the Harlem Shake. And as a matter of fact, what you're seeing right now on the video screen is the Miami Heat's hilarious version of it. You can see LeBron James. With the King outfit on, that's Dwayne Wade with the bear on his head. You see Chris Bosh doing it. I don't know who the hell Chris Bosh is on this thing. You can see, actually, one of those characters in there is actually Shane Battier with the metal-looking mask on his face. But it's just a hilarious deal. ESPN was running with it. It's viral on YouTube, and we just wanted you to get a look at it here. But it started me to think a little bit about the Heat. This is a team that they know what their swag is. They are the definition. Even though there's a second winningest team in the league this year behind San Antonio, I don't think many people would pick San Antonio to beat the Heat in a 7-game series. This is
I'm a Spurs fan.
Yeah, and this is not the LeBron James team that you swept David Robinson a few years back. Look at some of the stats real quick around this team. As I just said, second best record in the league. They're second in the power rankings and the Hollinger power rankings. LeBron is hovered around third in scoring all year. Here's the key, though, to me. LeBron James is having fun. He's the old LeBron that we saw back in his Cleveland days. And I think the other component that's key to the Heat this year is that Dwayne Wade is as healthy as we've seen Dwayne Wade the last 18 months to 2 years. I mean, he, and if that maintains, if health is not going to be an issue with the Heat, you go ahead and give them the ring now and start thinking about next year, Angelo.
Well, you know what? The Harlem Shake says a lot to me because I think ultimately winning that first championship, just they have a big weight off their shoulders now, so they can just be free. So they really do look like they're enjoying the game, I think. And what can you say about LeBron? It's a complete turnaround. 2 years ago, he was the most hated player in the league.
Yep.
And then he goes back to now he's LeBron again, the LeBron before the decision. And so it's a great thing to see. And if they do fulfill their potential and win another title this year, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many it's going to be, but it's special to watch.
I see 3. I think they're going to at least 3-peat. Richard, if you had to conjure up a concern for the Heat, I mean, we got to, we doing sports talk here, we got to look at both sides of the spectrum. The Heat are tied for 11th overall with Golden State at the time we take this show. In team assists at 11th, the 16th overall in free throw percentage, so that's not a weak area. And I brought up the assists because you got a team with 3 stars and they're sharing the basketball. Then they're 15th overall in blocks per game. And I went to that stat because that's 5.1 a game. The league high is like 7.2, 7.5. So I went there because the Heat aren't a particularly big team.
No, they're not. No,
but they are so athletic with Wade, with Bosh, and of course with LeBron. They do get their share of blocks. Those guys are tough to deal with on the perimeter. When they ratchet up or not, you just can't get much done against that defense. If you had to come up with any concern for the Heat, what would it be?
Oh, if I had to say anything, it's not a huge concern, pun intended, but I would say it's their front court. Because one thing I do notice is that, and it's probably going to make Angelo smile being a Spurs fan, they do somewhat struggle against teams that have dominant front court players that can slow the tempo down, stop LeBron and James away from getting out on those fast breaks, and those easy athletic buckets. If they can slow the tempo down, get them to play like a 85 to 82 type game, that's where I think Miami struggles somewhat. They still won some of those games, but earlier in the season when they had that little slump earlier in the season where everybody's already called for supposed to get fired here at the early of the season, and that's where they struggled against. They had a group of those teams. They have dominant front court.
Yeah, I think when you can get LeBron James to bring the ball into the middle of the floor, if you can, stay on that right, stay on that left hand and try to get him to come inside. When he sets up on the left side of the court, if you can get him to drive into the paint, regardless of which side he starts the offense from, and then you're able to shade and provide some bigs to help in the middle. That's when you get some opportunities to keep the Heat. I think the key to the Heat is one shot. Is make them be very, very efficient, but still good luck with that. A couple of stories that showed up I saw on Twitter coming out of the TMZ group camp this week. One was Shamika Holsqua that caught my attention, where she's finally been charged for the attempted, what they're calling attempted murder. This took place last year. Supposedly she got angry over her and her girlfriend breaking up, and fired a couple of shots into her vehicle, several shots into her vehicle. But I also saw the story come up, Michael Jordan, alleged baby mama, sues, and quotes, pay for your love child. The TMZ report said that Michael Jordan has been sued by a woman who claims he fathered her 16-year-old son, and she wants a paternity test to prove it. And from my understanding, she's like, come on with it. Whenever you're ready, let's get it done. Her name is Pamela Smith, and she claims in her paternity suit against Jordan that was filed on February the 6th in Fulton County, Georgia, that she became pregnant after having sex with Michael Jordan in 1995. Pamela gave birth to Grant Pierce J. Jordan Reynolds, a.k.a. Ty, in June 1996. The kicker here is Jordan was married to Juanita Benoit at that time of that he allegedly had sex with Smith. Smith says her legal documents, in her legal documents says that she wants a paternity test to prove Jordan is the dad. She wants full custody of child support. She also wants Jordan to pay the kids' medical expenses, and she also wants the judge to make Jordan the boy's legal last name. Jordan's son, alleged son, and that's him you see there on the video while Ty. He went out on YouTube in 2012 and made the video you're looking at, announcing that Michael Jordan is his dad. So just a couple of interesting little things that was out there. You guys got any? Probably no shock there.
No shock.
Being a great NBA player who had the world in his hands.
Well, Jordan never had a problem scoring. He never had a problem scoring.
That was
to Thursday.
As we get ready to close it out, now I'm sure Jordan will be Jordan, who cheats on his wife, he'd be welcome in the NFL locker room, right?
Well, of course he would.
Of course he would, no doubt about it.
You gotta keep bringing the old stuff.
Back on Thursday night, we saw number 3 Duke go down to Virginia, and that was like the third top 5 team go down in like a 3-4 day period, if I'm correct. And this was highlighted because Coach K got involved in a expletive-filled shouting match after the Virginia students rushed the floor at the end of the game, after the clock rang, sounded 0, and he ended up, he was concerned about the security of his team getting off the floor, and so it just kind of brought to view with a lot of folks on Facebook and Twitter, and I just thought I'd share with you guys as we get ready to close out tonight. What's your thoughts on this? Is it time that people say, well, that's a tradition?
It is.
It's not. And I'll tell you why it's not.
Why not?
It's not an NCAA basketball tradition. The SEC, last I checked, is a pretty big part of the NCAA, right? They banned it, okay?
They don't have great basketball programs over there either.
This guy. Also, tell me the last time you saw a team rush the floor in the NCAA tournament. Tick, tock, tick.
Well,
tock.
That's because the teams that are in the NCAA tournament they win. This is it for these guys for the most part. This is it for Virginia.
Don't be ridiculous, Richard.
This is their championship.
Don't be ridiculous.
This was their championship, man. They're not gonna do anything else.
At first, it seemed like sour grapes, but when you really take a step back and take a look at it, yeah, you do want the players and the coaches to be safe. So, I think it's pretty fair.
Here's what I'll tell you. I've got to get up out of here on this one. Here's what I'll tell you. Folks, there's a greater concern that extends beyond the conversation we're having here about players rushing the floor. There's a security issue with that. There's a huge security issue with that because we live in a homeland security relative age. A lot of crazy people in the world. And sometimes it's the PR perception of things will really change. And I'll be brief. If the worst case scenario was to happen and someone became a shooter inside of a stadium or detonated an ID or a device inside a stadium from their seat or from a bathroom or a garbage can, it's a horrible situation. It's front page news. Changes will be made. But if we keep allowing students to run out on the floor in a worst case scenario happens in a moment of jubilation on national TV, and then you go from that euphoria to the ultimate end of the spectrum, and we see a worst case scenario play out in the middle of a basketball court in America, we will be asking if the NCAA made the cut. We'll see y'all next week.